You're watching PIX on Politics Daily with Dan Mannarino.
Hey everybody, welcome to PIX on Politics Daily. I'm Dan Mannarino. It is February 18th, and let's talk about what's happening in New York City for a second before we get to what's happening in New Jersey. So yesterday was the big day. We've been talking about it, interviewing people leading up to what the new Mayor Zohran Mamdani's preliminary budget was going to be in New York City, right? And when he came out with his budget proposal yesterday, he caught everybody by surprise. And we know he's been talking about wanting to tax the wealthy, raise the corporate tax rate, to get some of his agenda passed. But yesterday he said something new, which was if he doesn't get what he needs from Albany, that he wants to actually increase property taxes by 9.5% here in the city, in the 5 boroughs. And that would affect everybody, right? On all income levels. So we spoke to the New York City Comptroller, Mark Levine, this morning about that, and he was like, absolutely not necessary. Queensboro president said, absolutely not necessary. So the Comptroller actually went one step further, saying he believes that Albany can do more, and that is the route that should be taken. And of course, the raising the property taxes would need the city council approval. The Speaker of the City Council, Julie Menon, kind of said, I don't really know yet. I want to see more about this. We don't want to raise property tax on everybody. So it sounds like she's already throwing cold water on it. To be continued on that front. Okay, and as I said, we're going to talk about New Jersey as well, right? So let's head across the Hudson and talk about one specific race happening. And that is, we've been talking about a lot of the congressional races, right? Specifically, the seat vacated by Mikey Sherrill. And we have, by the way, the candidate Analia Mejia. She'll be on PIX on Politics on Friday, who is the current winner of that special election. And now she's running again for the seat. It's complicated. But I want to talk to right now Congressman Rob Menendez, who represents parts of Hudson County, right?
Yeah, Hudson County, Elizabeth and Newark. And you are now facing a challenge. That's right.
Against Musab Ali, who came on this show. So first off, great to have you here.
Thanks so much.
Let me talk to you first and foremost about why you think, before we get into specific details, you want to continue on in Congress.
Yeah, so one, thanks for having me. Two is, we've been doing an incredible job the last 3+ years. We've done our 2 major missions right now are to meet the moment, to stand up to the Trump administration from everything from cuts to healthcare to what they're doing on immigration enforcement. And we've been a leader on that since we were sworn in 2023. There's so much more work to do to stand up for all of our communities. We want to do that. Second thing is government as a service. People need government to work for them. And that's something that we've really prized our office in doing and making sure that people in the district who need government to work for them have a member of Congress and an office that's dedicated to the work that they need to solving their issues. We have an incredible team. We provide an incredible service. I want to make sure we continue to do that for everyone who calls the district home.
We had your opponent, Musab Ali, on the show right here, right? He called you an establishment Democrat. And there are, I guess, a lot of Democrats who are kind of facing that across the country, not necessarily you. How do you address the fact that you are establishment? Do you consider yourself that?
I consider myself a representative of the incredible people of New Jersey's 8th Congressional District. One thing about Musab, he'll say whatever he needs to do to create contrast between us. He's a perennial candidate, whereas this is the only office I've run for. This is the best job I'll ever have.
You're representing that he just ran for mayor.
Mayor, came in 4th place. Whenever people want to say about, just look at the work, right? Look at the coalition that we've built in running for re-election. We do have people who have been in government for a long time, people like Brian Stack, Craig Guy, who deliver great government services for their people. We also have people like Andy Kim, Raz Baraka, Bonnie Watson-Coleman, LaMonica McIver, people from the more progressive wing of the state party. And they've all come together in support of my reelection. I think that's a testament to the work that we do and how we strive every single day to make government work for the people that we represent.
So let's talk about just break down some of the key issues.
Sure.
Right? One of them being affordability. Now, he was in favor of taxing the rich for some things. Are you in favor of that? I mean, it's kind of getting a lot of attention really because of Zohran Mamdani in New York and the whole idea of taxing the rich. Are you in favor of it?
Yeah, I think we have to talk about how do we get people to pay their fair share.
Yeah.
Right? Because you see the disparity between the highest income earners and the people that are doing the work every single day that keep our economies and our communities running, right? So we need to rethink a lot of this and make sure that people have the resources that they need, that they keep more of their pay, and that we close the income gap that we see across the country. Right now, we're fighting a Republican Party that's not interested in your lower middle class worker. They're thinking about the elites, right? You saw that in the One Big Beautiful Bill with tax breaks that disproportionately benefit the top 1%. Right now, people in this country are rightly and greatly aspirational, right? But they want to achieve that. But the top 1% is a finite number of people. We need to have the ability for people who are doing this incredible work every single day to keep more of their income, and to have the people and the corporations that are making astronomical amounts of money to pay their fair share. We do that, there's a greater pie for all of us, and that's how I think we achieve fairness in our country.
Yeah, I mean, you also represent Jersey City,
Yeah.
Jersey City, which many are saying is becoming unaffordable just to live. And I spoke to the new mayor there, James Solomon, about some ways to kind of make housing more affordable. But on a federal level, how do you kind of go about that?
So one is the affordability crisis touches everything, right? We're both parents.
Yeah.
So childcare, right? Increasingly expensive. Elder care, healthcare, housing, right? Everything's expensive. And so I think it's the role of the federal government to look at each of those pain points for families and how can we be of assistance to drive those costs down. What you're seeing now with the president's tariffs is that's making things increasingly more unaffordable, right? So we've been working in Congress to roll those tariffs back. But every Congress, my first piece of legislation has been the Working Families Task Force Act, which would take a whole of government approach to addressing the affordability crisis that we're facing. So I don't think any family is saying it's just one thing.
Yeah.
It's a litany of things. In New Jersey, we see increased energy prices. So we've introduced a bill that looks at how AI data centers are increasing the demand on our electricity grid and how we can prevent that increase in demand from being shifted to your residential ratepayers. All of it matters, right? Water, electricity, childcare, groceries, all of it. And so we're going to go piece by piece as we have done. It's difficult in the minority with the Republican Party that doesn't seem really interested in the affordability crisis. President Trump has called it a hoax. We know it's not a hoax. So we have a set of solutions that in the majority we're going to be able to execute upon to drive real results for all of our residents.
Let's talk about ICE for a moment.
Yeah.
The immigration efforts that are happening, because we just saw some videos last week or 2 days ago of ICE agents in Hoboken and Jersey City.
Yeah.
One of the city council members in Jersey City approached him saying, "Can I see the warrant?" He was like, "No, I don't need to show you
Yeah.
anything." Let me ask you first and foremost, as a member of Congress, if ICE should exist or should it be abolished?
Yeah, there's no way to reform ICE, right? And so
It should be abolished.
It should be abolished. I mean, you have to rethink so much of our federal government writ large, but especially DHS and especially ICE. We've seen it turn into a paramilitary. That's never what it was intended to be. And I don't think you can say to a member of the public, imagine go to someone in Minneapolis and say, "Hey, ICE is here." What do you think they're going to feel, right? And that's the case across the country, especially in New Jersey's 8th Congressional District, where you have 40% of the people that live there born outside the country. Like, ICE has become an existential threat. There's no way to repackage it, reform it. It needs to be abolished, and we need to think of a new way to deal with the enforcement of our immigration laws.
So what can you do on the federal level right now? And I ask a lot of folks the same question, really, because it's one thing to say, well, yeah, they should be abolished, but right now they still exist.
Yeah.
Right now they're still within cities. So how do you protect residents within those cities, or folks who are here illegally but not deemed the worst of the worst and have a job and are paying taxes and are paying members of society?
Yeah, so a lot to unpack there. One is what we've done for the last 13 months is provide Know Your Rights materials, trainings on our website, menendez.house.gov. We have it available in about 12 different languages. We've done legal observer trainings with our colleagues, Bonnie Watson-Coleman and LaMonica McIver. We believe that information is the threshold thing that every resident needs because, as I've said, community is how we keep communities safe. Now, in Congress, what we can do is continue to do oversight, continue to try to rescind and pull back funding that the Republicans authorized for ICE in the One Big Beautiful Bill.
Okay.
Those are things that we're going to continue to pursue. Later today, we are starting a statewide initiative to let New Jerseyans lend their voice to saying no to the expansion of ICE facilities, especially in Roxbury, particularly in Roxbury, New Jersey, where there's a proposed site. We've sent a letter to the New Jersey Investment Council saying that their investment in Palantir, which is provide the technology for ICE, runs counter to New Jersey values they should think about divesting. We're also constantly in court with the litigation task force in the House, which I'm a part of, working with state AGs to push back in every single instance. We're going to work with Mikey's administration as well, and work with municipalities in the county across the board. We are working together every single day, doing everything that a traditional legislator does, and so much more, because that's what this moment requires.
Yeah, and I started the interview with asking about Musab calling you an establishment Democrat, but is there a question really, or conversation about the Democratic Party as a whole and the direction they're going in, and whether or not you were all aligned? And the reason I ask that is because, and I use New York as kind of an example, DSA members are seeing a big momentum, and more progressives around the country are seeing some momentum around this. How do you see the Democratic Party kind of moving forward to regain control of the House, for example?
So listen, we're a Big Ten party. Yeah, we already are.
But is that to your detriment?
It's a challenge, but I do believe that our diversity is our strength. We represent people from every corner of the country. That's good because our policies will be informed by that. People who are Democrats but represent rural areas to folks like myself who represent densely populated areas. I would say that any Democrat right now agrees on 8 out of 10 things. So let's struggle in those 8 out of 10 things together to make real progress for our communities, whether you're in the South of Texas or here in Hoboken, Jersey City, or New York City. So there's a lot that we need to address, the affordability crisis being first and foremost. Those those policies, the approach, we can have minor differences, but ultimately we know we have real big challenges to take on. We can do that as a Democratic Party. The Republican Party has shown they have no interest in actually governing. They have no interest in doing things for working middle-class families. We have a set of policies and approach that together are the strongest set of solutions to address the challenges that families are facing. I think it's a strength of ours, especially when we come together in majority.
So your Big Tent party, what is something you agree with Musab on?
That we need to do more on immigration enforcement, and listen, we've been a leader on it since we got to Congress. We were pushing to end private detention centers. When we got there, we didn't wait for the Trump administration. So we have constantly pushed the envelope because we know what the exposure would be of our residents if you got the Trump administration, now what we're seeing. So, we both know ICE is an existential threat to our communities. We know that it's important to protect not just our immigrant communities, but all of our communities. That's something that we're aligned on.
Kind of looking at if Democrats will regain control of the House. I believe so. Right?
Yeah, of course. Assuming we have free and fair elections.
Okay. So who would be the speaker? Hakeem Jeffries?
Hakeem Jeffries.
Okay.
Yeah.
You would vote. Why?
Of course. He's a consensus builder. You mentioned sort of the Big Tent, right? Like, he has worked with all different factions of the party to keep us united and really strengthen our position in the minority. Now, you've seen this bear fruition where we passed out of the House with Republican support the 3-year extension on the ACA premium tax credits. That doesn't happen unless you have a disciplined approach, and that's what he's done. He draws on all corners of the caucus to get to the best possible result. He's navigating extremely unprecedented times, and I think he's an incredible leader and will make for an incredible speaker.